Hi, this is Billy D. If you enjoy this podcast, please like and subscribe. Let's grow NAI basketball. Thank you. Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAI basketball one podcast at a time. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, today we have Coach Jeff Rutter. He's the head men's basketball coach, Arizona Christian. What a powerhouse he's built there in the GSAC. Year after year, he has a huge target on his back. Every season when the chatter kind of starts, one of the first teams people ask about is Arizona Christian. The other thing about Jeff Rutter, I've never heard anybody say even anything close to a bad word about this man, and I would dare you to find anybody who would. He's a class act from top to bottom. A great program, great culture. Arizona Christian should be really proud of their basketball program. Hey, let's take a listen to Coach Jeff Rutter, Arizona Christian Firestorm. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Coach Jeff Rutter, he's the head men's basketball coach at Arizona Christian. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Coach, definitely want to talk to you about the incredible run you've had there. But probably the most confusing thing I've been trying to follow here for the last few weeks is what's going on with the GSAC. So this is my read, and you tell me where I'm wrong. So Vanguard, Menlo, and Jessup, they're playing one more season in the GSAC. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Westmont has moved over. They're going to play in the Pac West this year. They're already D2.
Yep.
And then next season you have Embry-Riddle, Benedictine Mesa, Park Gilbert, and St. Catherine is all going to join the GSAC.
Yep.
And that'll take you. And then San Diego Christian has suspended athletics, they say, for a year, but right now they're not playing athletics. Is that all correct?
Yeah, and I haven't really heard an update on what's going on with them, but yeah, that is correct. And we're excited to have just our Arizona schools, playing them twice a year and having those rivalries and getting those games, and much less travel on that. We'll certainly miss, the rivalries we've had with Jessup and Menlo and Vanguard, and but it will be nice to, be in state a little more and competing against the other teams in state.
So do you consider this season you've only got 14 league conference games? Do you consider that an advantage or a disadvantage?
Well, we're still trying to play a pretty good schedule. I'm not sure it's either one of those.
Okay.
But, so we have to work hard to get games when you don't have as many conference games kind of set up for you. So we're going out to Tennessee to get a couple good games, and we'll go up to LC State and get a couple really tough games up there. And we're having to travel a little bit, which I think our guys probably enjoy. But so I think there's pros and cons to it for sure.
Well, I definitely agree with you on your schedule. I was impressed on, it'd be real easy for you to just sit at home and let some teams come to you, right? Because everybody wants to go to Arizona at Christmas time. But, you're going to play Rocky Mountain and Carroll. To kick off the season, you're going to play them at home. And then as you said, you're going up to Lewiston. You're taking on Eastern Oregon, which is Chris Kemp really has them playing well. He's really put together a good program there. And then LC State. LC State's going to be a lot better than last year. I can guarantee you that. And then you have Bushnell coming down, a team I follow pretty close, and they have literally everybody coming back from last season. So you're gonna get tested real early before you head out there to Tennessee. You got to be excited about your preseason schedule.
Yeah, it's a challenging one. It's a good one. It'll certainly show where we're at. I would say the nice thing about not having as many conference games is I don't love the conference games in December, where you're so much of a different team in January, February. So I'm glad we're not playing those early meaningful conference games in November, December like we have in past years. But we will get to try. I know the Cascade's going to be up this year with so many guys back, and we'll get out to Tennessee and play Union, who's close to 30 wins every year, and Cumberland back on their home turf. So yeah, it's going to be a challenging one, and one we're excited about. With so many new guys, we want to throw them into the fire a little bit and see where we're at and what we need to kind of do to get better and prepared for January.
Sticking with the GSAC just for a moment, talk about the incredible success that your conference has had in the postseason. You guys, Jessup, Hope, and then the run OUAZ had last season. It's really shown as a power conference.
Yeah, and I think it has been. I think it has been for a while. I think like Ottawa's run last year is a great example. They finished fourth in our conference, and we're a little bit over 500 in the conference. But we knew, there's 5, 6, 7 teams capable of a run in Kansas City from our conference, and they got hot and made it. And that's happened over the years, where a lot of times it's the conference champ that makes a run, but there's been many instances over the years of the third, fourth, fifth place team winning a few games and a couple Final Four runs with our third, fourth place team making a run there. So the depth has been really good. It was really good last year. Expect to be really good this year. So yeah, that's great for our conference.
You mentioned OUAZ. I know they've been able to build a very loyal fan base in a really short amount of time there. Can you talk about the NAI basketball fan base there in the Southwest? Typically when you think about power fan bases in NAI, you're thinking about Indiana, the Midwest, the Plains, some in the South. Talk about your Arizona fan base there.
Yeah, I think it's always a bit more difficult in big cities with so many things going on. Before I came to Arizona, I was in Southern California. We were I was at Azusa Pacific, and we were, top 10 team every year and in the mix every year. But there's just so many colleges around you and so many things to do. So outside of your little bubble, you're not getting that much attention. So we move into Arizona, there's less of that, but still, I think it's the 5th largest city in the country. So you still do have all the other things, drawing attention. So, but we've got a good alumni base. We've got several that, before I started coaching that are involved in the program, but then, a lot from this is going in my 12th year, I believe. So a lot of guys from the early years that are, watching us and tracking us and sending texts after games and, meeting us on the road in California and doing some of those things. So, it's been fun as our school's more than doubled in size in my time here. And that's grown, but there's got an affection for those in the early years when we were a school of 400 and something and not expected to do much and did pretty well that first year. So that group's a very close knit one and one I love to hear from.
Coach, you recruit all over the country. Talk about basketball there in Arizona, in the Phoenix area. Is it a good recruiting ground there? Is basketball strong there in that area?
I would say yes, and I think that's grown a lot over my time here, where I think there's a lot of really good coaches, a lot of really good programs. As the city has grown, our county is the fastest growing county in the country. So as the city's grown, the talent pool has just gotten deeper and deeper. There's always been a lot of really good players, but there would be, in my early years here, a bit of a cliff where there might be 15, 20, and then it drops off a little bit where that's expanding. I think the challenge for us, when the NAI really hasn't been around in Arizona real long,
right.
So there's just the education of how good the level is the challenge, and it's getting better. And the longer we're around and being successful and getting people out to games and some of that stuff, and some of the good local players that went Division I that have come back and been good ones for us. Like that all helps. But I've found in pockets of the country where there's you don't have to convince a high school player from Indiana that the NAI is really good.
Yeah.
Or from some of these pockets where there's a lot of NAI programs and deep, rich history where Arizona doesn't really have that. So it's growing, and I really think the conference realignment is going to be really good for that, where you've got more of these in-state conference rivalries, and we're all in the same conference now, and there's been multiple schools added here in the last 6-7 years, and so I think that's going to be good for it and the education of how good the level is. But that's been the challenge, is just getting guys to understand like the level of guy we need to be really good at our league. Like we just haven't gotten a ton of those in-state. That's grown though. We've had more and more success in-state recruiting each year, and so we hope that continues.
I definitely think you're right about the local or in-state rivalries. In my experience, that's what kind of drive. It's hard to get media attention. Those tend to get some media attention, and then that just increases everybody's awareness of what's going on. You have some key guys that have left. or graduated. Bryce Davis, Kevon Williams, and Angelo Johnson. Those were very, very good basketball players. Had a lot of success. They were key to your program. But you have a pretty good core group coming back. Obviously it starts with Paul Hayden, Dennis Flowers. Just talk about this group you have coming back.
Yeah, we've got 4 of our 5 link scorers from a year ago back, and we've got 2 other guys, Dom Gonzalez and James Berry, that were starter quality players for us. So we really have 6 guys that played a huge role for us coming back. Paul ended up having a great year in 3 years of college basketball. He's something like 51 from the field and 42 from 3 and 85 from the free throw line. Like, he's a pretty elite company in terms of making shots. So he's back and got some postseason accolades. I think Dennis Flowers and Trent Hudgens had all conference years last year. Like, they're very good and impactful on both ends of the court. Elite defenders and both double figure scorers for us last year. So I think our depth sometimes hurts from a number standpoint. But I consider us having like 3 all-conference players back, and Micah Blackwell not far behind that either.
Yeah.
He was our defensive conference player of the year, or a defensive player of the year in the conference. So, and another double-figure scorer that's really good around the basket, pretty big-time rebounder, and can guard everybody. So we feel like we got a real good, experienced core back. Dom and Paul have been around this is their 4th year, and this is Dennis's 3rd year with us. So we've got some good continuity, kind of teaching the new guys how we do things. So, and then you mentioned Kevon. Kevon was the winningest player in program history. I think he won like 130 games in his college career. So we hired him full time as an assistant coach. So Kevon's got the secret sauce. So we kept him around, and he's doing great. He's going to be a great coach.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have him around. A lot of times, recent players are really helpful around the program, especially somebody that they have instant respect, right?
Yeah.
So,
and he was a coach on the court that a lot of guys relied on last year, and he's stepped in and done a great job.
One thing that really impresses me about your team's coach, very balanced scoring. And the other thing, I didn't realize until I was going through your numbers this morning, but you also have balanced rebound. Obviously, Bryce Davis got more than everybody else, but I mean, everybody on the court rebounds. Is that intentional? What do you do to create that?
Yeah, it's definitely an emphasis for us on both ends of the court. Something we chart and emphasize and highlight and give a little extra work to if someone's not getting done. But just a standard we hold that we're going to block out and we're going to crash, and that's a priority for us. We think leads to being successful and winning. So that's and we've had guards. I think what's helped is we've had guards. They're not necessarily big, but they're very good rebounders. A Trent, a Dennis. Those guys are. I don't know what they got last year, but they're typically a 4. Have 5, 6, 7 rebound games for us. So that makes a big difference. But yeah, that's a major emphasis of ours.
The season before you were in that Final Four. Last season, just missed it by an eyelash. Boy, that was one of the best basketball games I ever saw. I know you came out on the losing end, but that was a great basketball game with Indiana Tech.
Yeah.
But just talk about the continuity. You've been there. I think you're going in your 11th or 12th year.
12th year.
How do you keep it going year after year? You come into every season with a target on your back.
Yeah, we're focused on the process and just getting better and trying to do things a little bit better. And so, like last year, we didn't go as far as we had wanted or thought we were capable of. Ran into a real good Indiana Tech team, but we spent the summer. Myself, our players, just spent the summer. What can we do better? What held us back last year, and learning more and just staying hungry and growing. And I like to think I'm a much better coach now than I was 2 years ago and 3 years ago and 10 years ago. But our players have they've tasted success. They've won a lot of games. So losing a game like that last year, to a Paul and a Trent and a Dennis, those guys were in the gym all summer and they were getting better. And it's noticeable. They are just in decision making and reads and things that maybe they weren't great at last year. They've gotten pretty good at. So yeah, I think just the focus on getting better. And I think after 12 years as a head coach, you start to know yourself well. You know who you are. You know what your values are. You know what kind of players are going to work well with you and you want to work with. And so I think we're getting better at the selection process and who do we want in our program. And who's going to embrace our values and that. And so I just think we're getting a little bit better at all those things that I think lead to some consistent.
Coach, we talked about your returners. Do you have any key transfers or freshmen coming in that you believe could make an impact?
Yeah, I really like our recruiting class, and I'll start with the freshmen. But we've got a very good freshman class, and guys that are good enough to help and make an impact right now. But I really think down the road, like this group will be leaders and taking the reins of the program and doing a great job. So we've got 3 or 4 guys that are going to be very good freshmen for us. I think in terms of an immediate impact, we wanted to get a little more skilled passing the ball, and we got a little longer. We're probably a little more athletic and longer, and probably a better passing team than we were a year ago. So Anthony Howe was an all-state junior college player from San Diego City, won a ton of games, first team All-State there. And All-State in California is pretty significant. There's 100 teams or something there. It's pretty significant to be a first team All-Stater there in that junior college conference. And then Anthony Garza, both those guys are 6'8", both very skilled, play really hard, real smart players. Tucker Molina from Everett Community College, another I think they were 26-4 or something. Another winner. 6'6", can play the 1 through. Can really play any position, but 7-foot wingspan. He's a guy that can impact the court or the game on both sides of the court. And yeah, Lorenzo Wright, another San Diego City guy, another transfer, can fill it up really quickly. Can play the 1 or the 2, and so we got guys that I think fit us. Make a little bigger, a little longer. Really good passing. So I think we'll look a little bit different, even with some of the same guys, just our style and some of that. And I think their unselfishness and ability to move the ball and willingness to move the ball is going to benefit those guys, that do like to shoot it, like a Paul and a Dennis and some of those guys.
Well, it sounds like you brought in a pretty good group that just should fit right in with those returners, and sounds like a nice blend.
Yeah, we're real excited. I think we're deeper than we were a year ago. And part of that, like last year, I think that Indiana Tech game, Indiana Tech was elite defensively, and we struggled to score a little bit at the end of last year. And our starters played 7 games together all year last year. We just had new lineup after new lineup and injury after injury. So, we were good defensively all year, but we never really got into a flow offensively, like to where I thought we could have been. So I don't anticipate having the same kind of injury issues we had a year ago. We had pretty much zero injuries the year before that in our Final Four run. But we did want to get a little deeper and be able to absorb that if something happens that way, which we struggled down the stretch a little bit.
Coach Rutter, you've been around NAIA basketball many years. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen over the years?
Some of the teams, some of my old rivalries are now in the Pac West. So just some of the coaching rivalries and the teams that you've gone to battle and had these long histories with, and now you're not seeing them. And then there's not a whole lot of reason to be scheduling each other either, where the Division IIs don't want to play, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them from their power system or however their strength of schedule thing. So I think that's the biggest. I've enjoyed the combined divisions, and we've traveled a lot in the last 3 or 4 years. Some of that was with COVID, but then some of that's this year with less conference games. So I've enjoyed the getting to see new people. We got to play Indiana Wesleyan, we went to Florida, and we play some of these teams when they were Division II. We never really saw them, so I think that's been a fun thing. But you do miss. I've been playing against Biola for years, and Concordia. We had great rivalries with them when I was at Azusa and at Arizona Christian. So you miss some of those rivalries now. Westmont's out as well. So that's unfortunate because we got a deep history with them.
If you could make one change in the game to benefit the game or the athlete experience, what would you like to see done?
Oh, that's a good question. I may have to come back to that, give that one some thought.
While you're thinking about that, talk about your just incredible experience outside of basketball at Arizona Christian. I mean, it's very supportive. You mentioned the alumni base, the fan base, but the administration really embraces athletics, and athletics represents the institution. Well, it's kind of it's symbiotic. Talk about your experience there at Arizona Christian.
Yeah, I think it starts with President Munsell and his support. It's one of the major reasons we went there was his vision and the role athletics plays in that. So he's been great and allowed us to grow and be more and more competitive as we've gotten bigger. A great athletic department. Dr. Dreyer does a great job. But like if you come into a department meeting, like the alignment of mission and vision and values is remarkable. And we got Coach Chamber. We really want to. We call ourselves Transformation U. Like we really focus on the development, spiritual growth, and development of our student athletes. And so you've got tons and tons of stories of just radical life change there with guys really growing up and finding a bigger purpose to be playing for and what's important and just see a Kevon's one of those, just a major growth and maturity over 4 or 5 years, whatever length of time they're with us. And so I think that's been Coach Chambers. Randy Chambers is one of the best. He's our chaplain and kind of leads our spiritual development and is he's as good as there is in that. So I think like things like that where beyond basketball and beyond the school, just being able to work with like-minded coaches that are on the same page with what's important. We all are trying to win and doing what we can to make our programs better, but I think ECU stands for a lot more than that, and you got a lot of coaches devoted to coaching for more than that.
You talked about the transformation. I got to know Robbie Wilson. He's a pretty outgoing guy. He came up and talked to me in Kansas City a couple of years ago. And, I got to know him a little bit. And his story to me was very interesting, how he kind of struggled and ended up he wasn't even a basketball guy. He played football and ended up there at Arizona Christian, had, a great career there. And I think that experience there at Arizona Christian was transformational for him.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of the many examples. There's a lot of stories like Robbie's. And Robbie certainly had a transformational experience here and is doing great things in the women's game up at Washington.
I know, that's what I hear.
Yeah, and he's advancing and he's doing great. Yeah, that's I think we've done a nice job at ACU of building that framework where you can be vulnerable, where you're supported, you're loved regardless of how well you play. We try to build an atmosphere where guys can share and be open, and so you have some of those breakthrough moments. But yeah, there's a lot of examples like that with like a Robbie Wilson, like a Kevon, and many others.
Yeah, Coach, I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire on the change. I'll answer it for you. I want to go back to 30 games. I talked to Adam Hepker the other day. They play 24 conference games, and so they they have just almost no room to get outside a conference.
Nat, I would say my vote would be national tournament, 32 teams at Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
That's I think I've been to 20 national tournaments now in Kansas City, and it's great now. We had our guys had a great experience these last couple of years, but having 32 teams there and wall-to-wall games those first couple days, it's a really unique experience. So that would be my vote to make it a better student athlete experience.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would join you on that because that is amazing, especially for the athletes, the families, the fans. That is an amazing experience, and it really builds. I always talk about the family of the NAI. I think that's one of the core pieces.
Yeah, as some of my friends have gone Division II, that's kind of the one thing they say, like, man, we missed the NAI tournament, with the 32 teams and that. And so it's got a uniqueness and it's better than what Division II and others are doing. So I hate to see us go away from that strength.
Well, Coach Rutter, I really appreciate you taking time to call us this morning and talk a little bit of Firestorm basketball. Hopefully we'll get you back on as the season gets rolling, and that GSAC's really going to heat up, Coach. You better be ready.
Yeah, a lot of good teams this year. Well, I appreciate your time and having me on, and love to talk to you anytime.
That's Coach Jeff Rutter. He's head men's basketball coach, Arizona Christian, the Firestorm. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Yep, for sure. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much to Coach Jeff Rutter. Thank you also to Arizona Christian. If you enjoy this podcast, please like and subscribe. That helps others find it. These shows get lost in YouTube and in Spotify, and the more likes and comments it gets, the more people will see it and learn about NAI basketball. We'll be back in a couple of days. I hope you enjoy the preseason shows up to this point. Let me know if you have any feedback. And if you haven't done it yet, check your school schedule. Go get some tickets and get ready, because NAI basketball is getting ready to start. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAI school, because NAI basketball is the best entertainment value in America.